All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Ping Pong the Animation, Episode 2. And we're getting right into this show.
We are indeed.
We have our, I would say, our main core characters.
Yes.
For the most part, probably all presented here. Yes. Yeah. And we have a little bit of an interesting potential rivalry that could develop.
Oh, yeah?
A cool conflict of interests. A nice little... kind of foundation for where the story could go.
One of the things that I find kind of interesting is that there's three main characters, right? But in the opening, the opening is amazing, of course, but the two like flying things that are in the opening, there's only two of them, and it always seemed to me like that was a representation of like people playing ping pong that are just like super good or something.
The two kids are more of a main characters probably than Kong.
Sure.
Because Kong was introduced after them. So,
that's true. Yeah.
And these two were introduced kind of as a package.
Right.
Like we showed them individually. And yet they all got their little like special moves, and this is how their style is and everything. And it's cool because those kinds of things I don't know anything about. Like
it might as well be like hieroglyphs to us.
Yeah, we're like,
okay.
But I think the story is going to be primarily about the relationship between Tsukimoto and Hoshino.
Yep.
For the most part. But yeah, guys, episode 2. We're hyped.
Yes.
Without further ado, let's get into it.
生まれてこなければよかったコンクで負けた今も
Hoshino, yeah.
すげえな
Jeez.
球種もコートも捨てられてんだ
The era. Oh my gosh.
ここは静かで安全だ
Wow.
とても落ち着く
What the heck?
大丈夫
Tsukimoto, what are you
僕はここで平
doing?
気なんだ
I think he's hiding from Hoshino.
僕はここにいたいんだだから放っ
Is
て
he
おいて
getting bullied?
This is the, enter the hero, enter the hero.
Right.
What?
Race on.
Embrace eternity.
Yeah.
Well, you're in a pinch, say it thrice. Enter the hero, enter the hero, enter the hero!
Mr. Tsukimoto.
Oh, gotcha.
Okay, this is just...
Hoshino to wa utsu na.
Whoa.
Okay.
Mr.
Yeah.
Tsukimoto は明日から毎朝5時に私とトレーニング。
Whoa.
勝負への執念にかけるというウィークポイントをインハイまでに克服し
All
ま
right.
す。Let's
He's got a little
go.
machine thing there.
私プロポーズして楽
5
しみ
in
に
the
してるよ
morning
Mr.
with
Yeah,
Tsukimoto.
Koizumi.
来ませんよ僕5時なんて
No problem. ミーは尽くすタイプだっちゃ。
Ah,
He's gonna get him at 5.
よかったな月本
all right, this opening, yeah! Oh, the opening is different every time based on stuff that
Oh, is it?
stuff that's happening in the episode. See, he's practicing with Koizumi.
Maybe.
Yeah,
Like-
it's different. It's
Oh, okay.
different. The actual footage that they're showing is slightly different. At least they showed that part in the beginning. That part was different. And this part, this part is different too. It's so manic.
Yeah. I like how they have the color on the text as well. Like, or I guess only the text because the rest of it's black and white. But oh, and when it showed Hoshino, the singing got really angry.
Possibly a plot point.
ぜ君は朝練に来てくれない。ミスター月本はね、指導する選手が存在して初めて成り立つの。
Dang. Wow. This is awesome.
暇つぶしなんです
Of course.
君も英単語を覚えるどうせ死ぬまでの暇つぶしですから
Jeez.
スマイルは
Wow.
キャラメル派
何食べてる
ハンバーガーっしょ
？Not バーガー。
Burger.
ガー。
Burger.
ガー
Burger.
粗悪な油を使ったコレステロール。
What of cholesterol?
今日から君の昼食は私が
Wow.
卓球をやるための体を作る健康食だ。
It's love.
はい。
I love Koizumi. This guy's amazing.
Now, who's this Albert Einstein guy?
もう春がやってまいり
Oh.
They have his horoscope.
Oh, his workout routine.
捨てといて
Maybe he's just in heat. I love it.
そうなんだ。変化もっとつけて。
しっか かしスマイル怒鳴られんのウルトラ食らうかん。
何度言わせる。やる気あるのか。
Oh.
どこへ行くミスター月本。
I'm out here.
逃げた。
ウェイトウェイト。
しょうがねえな。
僕は楽しければいい。勝つために何かを犠牲にしたり引きずり下ろしたりしたくないんだ。
Oh, interesting. Maybe we had this wrong. It might not be a rivalry between Peko and Tsukimoto.
2年風間隆一であります。本日は練習を見学させていただき
Alright.
参りました。
ミスター風間。うちの
おい
選手
風間風間
小さいのでね。お目当て
Yeah,
は
I
彼
really
だ
like
ろ
this music.
Ooh,
その試合
backstory.
彼は負けましたが、コントロール、スピード、ゲームメイク、反射神経、集中力、すべてにおいて中学生離れしており、
He
自
should
分の
join
目には
us.
軽軍の一角に移ります。
Wow.
He does kind of have a Kirikotamine voice.
ミスター風間にクエスチョン。このインターハイ予選でうちの月本が君に勝つ確率。
皆無です。
人様がどうなろうが敗北なんか楽しめねえかんよ。とにかく勝ちゃいいかんね。
I like this.
おめえいねえと練習なんね
Ah!
また夏いやつが来るぜ。
There's a metaphor in there somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere.
遅い遅いよ。もっと早く。
Dang.
止まらない。
Wow. So he's really got to move.
Yeah.
スマイルもよく拾ってんな。
こんなことしてどうなるんですか。
強くなる。
くだらない。
下るよ。
賞状やトロフィーがそんなに大切ですか。
ならば試合を申し込むよ、ミスター月本。もし君が勝ったら、私は
Oh,
この
nice.
しないことを約束する。
負けたら
私の犬になって。
Woof,
絶
woof,
対
woof.
服従だよ。教えてあげるよ、ミスター月本。君の卓球がいかに軟弱で脆いか。
Like a butterfly. Oh boy.
Here we go.
Or is he going to float like a butterfly is the thing?
Whoa.
外しましたよ今僕。
でもリターンしたもんね、したもんね、したもんね。
ワンラブワンラブ。
君は怯える。
Okay.
シャ
Because
Nice.
if you really try, then you can really fail.
よく知ってる。スマイルが嫌がること。
And he's off
ー
balance
そし
and
て
off
君
to
の
the
道は
side.
極めて早い。敗北と挫折。
You've got to be
喪
like a
失と
hawk.
したん。
Yeah.
シャー孤立と混迷。苦悩と絶望。
Go after
俺
what you
は
want,
棺
even
桶
if
に
it's taken
片
from
足突っ
someone
込んだ
else.
じいさんの。
虚無と堕落。勝つための強い心を。
Whoa.
Oh,
ここは静かで
Jeez.
安全なところだ。
Yeah.
going into a comfortable little cocoon.
Yep. Nothing changes.
誰か来ると出たらまた
Yeah.
11-4ゲーム2小泉先生。
どうしてみんな僕に構うの。何もしてないのに。怒ってもない
Oh,
のに。
wow.
笑ってもいないのに。
Whoa. What the
ただいるだ
heck?
けなのに。息も殺してる。
Holy
言われたことは
crap.
静かにロボットみたいにしてるのに。ヒーロー剣山。ヒーロー剣山。ヒーロー剣山。
What is this one of those where what they say like armor type things? Become a robot.
Oh, dang.
ガチル以前に不愉快なんですよそれ。
これなんかすごい反則の感じ。ゲーム2月本。
小泉老人万事
Oh,
休
dang.
しかしこの検討は大したもんだよ。もつれりゃつれえさ。
Wouldn't want to twist something, seriously.
驚いたぜスマイル。
Oh, crap. You okay?
立ちませんか先生。そ
Whoa.
うやっていちいち間を空けられるとすごく不愉快です。布団ないでしょそこ。
Dang.
目がくらむ。
The sounds and everything.
月本非常だな。
抜くぞ。拾ってみせろ。そうだ月本。玉が君を追う。
Oh my gosh.
ペコみたいになりたいんだ。ペコみたいに。
I hope he's okay.
おい、ひっくり返っちった先生。
頭すごい音したぜ。
死んだ。
保健室行ってこい一年。あら
しかし笑っとるぞ
打ちどころ悪かったが上がります。
はあ、ふざけんなこら月本。先生そっとしてんだろこら。しかとしてんのかよ。おい待てよ月本。
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
What an episode.
That was intense.
Oh. Wow. The imagery of him basically, surrendering himself to that part that he...
Right.
Wow. Oh.
I really like how they... Because, okay, we'd seen, like, the bits of stuff where it was kind of like the analogy of a robot, I think, previously for Tsukimoto, but not really.
Right.
And this firmly established it, but then also did the whole, wear it like armor thing all in the same episode.
Right. But the thing is that when he becomes the robot, basically, there's no empathy.
Right.
There's nothing about him that's human.
Yeah.
Or cares, yeah. So, they made the movements, movements and stuff sounds when he was doing that, throwing his words back in his face.
Mm-hmm.
There's no bed down there.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I have so much to say with this episode. There's a lot of things I think that when you have a person that forces induced kind of isolation on themselves for a purpose, there's a lot that's coming from there. Okay.
Wow.
This episode, combined with the previous episode, really gives us a huge insight into what this show is going to be about,
right,
and how it's really a Tsukimoto origin story, like
right,
transformation.
He is very much the main character. This is not a dual main character. I don't think.
Yep.
And that's the thing. That's what'll be painful about it. Is that that robot side of Tsukimoto that we saw. We're probably going to see more of that, and the fact that this is not a dual main character show, just story. Like the characters themselves will probably become aware of that to some degree.
Okay, so you think that he's going to be channeling the robot to be stronger at table tennis?
I think so.
Okay, because I think he's going to be, in some ways, letting go of that. Maybe
possibly that could be the dual nature of it. Is that maybe that's what he's doing at the beginning,
right?
But then it's also learning how to not just win at table tennis, but to win
at life.
At life, yeah.
Like he doesn't want to even participate.
Right. Enter the hero.
Right. His whole worldview is passing time until he dies.
Yeah.
He doesn't even want to participate in life.
Right.
His thing that he said is like, I just want to have fun, is a complete sack of crap. Right. He's lying to himself.
He's self-medicating.
Yeah, he is, exactly.
And for what? That's the real question. They might not go into it because they haven't gone into, like, they haven't even really hinted at, personal lives and stuff. But
he put himself intentionally in a locker.
I think that's just in his head, though.
Oh,
because it's always then the robot thing, which I'm sure doesn't actually exist,
right?
That comes and gets him out of there.
Okay, all right. So that's a good thing to bring up. He specifically with regards to the whole, over the top presentation of kind of his innermost thoughts are being displayed via the robot and the whole locker thing.
Right.
I love that. The funny thing is that. My own logic of he put himself in there doesn't work even if it was real because the broom in there.
So the potential that it could be is that someone else would put him in there.
Yeah.
And,
Right. Yeah. And if you go back and look at those, because I'm going to rewatch this episode in its entirety over and over again, because there were a couple parts that really shook me. One of them was when they went through the panel and had two panels. The bottom one had all these people telling him and things and calling him things. And oh my gosh, that was actually just
that was chilling.
Heartbreaking and chilling, because on the one hand, I don't have an emotional connection yet to the character other than that they're a character and I care about them.
Yeah.
But I need to see them feel for something before a lot of my feelings for them can come about. But that part alone did a huge amount.
Well, and one of the crazy things about that, like, there's the fact that it's them all saying these things.
Right.
But then there's the fact that as it keeps going, they turn into aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a bit of an insight into his internal state, that basically he ends up just writing off people, at least this is what I would think, writing off people as other creatures, right? You know, they're aliens, he's a robot, they cannot coexist, he's different from them, and so he'll, keep himself separate. But,
So, I think in a lot of ways, Jacob, we can actually both resonate with how a lot of our kind of life upbringing was. So we've had both kind of opportunities where I wouldn't say opportunities. We both had instances where we were in robot mode.
Absolutely.
And there's a cold, unfeeling safety in being a robot, because you don't really...
You can't get hurt by anything because you don't feel anything.
Right, you don't feel anything. You have impenetrable armor. You don't...
You know how I love armor.
Yeah, you don't have any access ports.
Right.
Basically, there's no holes, there's no chinks in the armor. And...
You're just a box.
You're basically just a box. Yeah. Now, this is the thing that's curious, though, is that why does he channel this in his own internal mind to basically like turn on in these specific instances? Is it something that's saving him from discomfort and pain?
It could be.
So it kind of helps him basically like call upon that which is protecting him, because I feel like it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah. It was absolutely something that was in defense and reactionary to Mr. Koizumi pushing him around and yelling at him and all that stuff.
Right.
Before he was just putting up with it, but there got to the point where he didn't want to put up with it anymore, or realized that he had to, he couldn't just back away from it forever.
So the whole thing with even the inter-high preliminaries and all that might not even matter if it comes down to a story of Tsukimoto needing to live.
Yeah.
Like, he needs to find a reason actually to keep on going, because in his own internal state, he's inert. He basically would rather shut himself off from the entire world, experience nothing, and have the peace, so to speak, of being disconnected.
The sound of silence.
Yeah. And on some level, that points me towards the general bullying kind of thing that we got from the panel there. But it more so seems like that's just a symptom.
Sure.
And that's a weird thing to say, because I don't think he made himself into a person that would, end up getting all this, coming there. People are choosing to do that for reasons. But I think you're right. There's going to be some kind of personal reason that we go into why he's like this. And it's really heartbreaking, because when you see someone like the coach, like, put yourself in Koizumi's shoes, he sees someone that is dispassionate and kind of monochrome, just doesn't have any color or passion in their life.
And that makes things really interesting, because in the opening, it's black and white except for the letters.
Yep.
So.
Yep. So maybe he's doing this to try and spark his passion, and he's using volleyball. I mean, wow. He's using ping pong as a means to do that. And we're going to see that he doesn't really care about ping pong. He doesn't really care about this sport and stuff. It's something that he likes doing. It's something that's fun for him. But when it comes down to, why he is the way he is, I think that even ping pong itself might be something that...
It's just a thing, kind of a... Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a thing.
One of the things that I'm realizing now, in the first episode, he told Kong, I don't want to play you because I'll lose. And that seemed like a deflection. Like, that wasn't actually his reason. That was just, an excuse, right?
Yeah.
And that could still be what it was, that he doesn't want to push himself and all that. He doesn't want to play in something that's competitive. He wouldn't think it's fun.
Right.
That could totally be what it is. But I wonder I wonder if he might actually have been meaning exactly what he said, because, and there's not really any basis for this other than the fact that what they did this episode seemed directly in contrast to what they showed the first episode with There's Always Someone Better. This went the whole unlock the secret power within you and destroy all, that would oppose you kind of a thing, on the field that is ping pong, right?
Yeah, I think we talked about in the first episode that it was a thing that he might have been doing to keep Hoshino from feeling bad, though.
Right.
So you think it's not that now?
Well, I'm not sure, because it's mainly just the fact that if what we were positing about the whole There's Always Someone Better is the theme of the show, like that's they said that in the first episode by the sage old mentor, so that makes sense. Then it would seem that Tsukimoto might be in for some disappointment, and he doesn't care right now, so he can't really be disappointed.
Yeah, that's why I think it doesn't really fly with regards to his personal journey.
Yeah.
There
might be too many stages for 11 episodes.
Well, that as well, yes, but also it's just there's a distinct separation in the story about the value of ping pong versus the value of his own kind of internal state. I think this story is going to be about the battle, the game for Tsukimoto's, essentially his passion, his drive, his purpose.
Yeah.
And this is something that could be hinted at by the whole gambling thing that they did in the first episode. He's like, I need to gamble. And then Koizumi did a very similar thing here and ended up losing. But maybe that's part of what it is that there's nothing that he's willing to risk.
Okay.
Let's take this also to a relative extreme and something we're familiar with, though. Let's assume that Tsukimoto is an introvert. Extremely so.
Certainly seems to be.
Yeah. This kind of social interaction does exhaust him physically. Like, he needs some way to recharge.
Right.
Now, generally speaking, like, I would say there's nothing wrong with introversion. Like, gaining your energy from being, in a quieter, more controlled, just quieter environment. Yeah, makes sense. But there are extremes that both sides, extroversion or introversion, can go into, where you're needing to shut out the world to stop. That's not gaining energy. That's trying to just nullify the pain or something.
Right.
So what I wonder is, will this like constant pain or constant anguish that he seems to be going through, that is basically existence,
right,
be alleviated by choosing a passion and just sticking with it, like ping pong, for instance? Or is it going to be about him tackling those internal things with people that need to be brought into his life?
I don't know.
Because I think that it's not a coincidence that the creator of this story chose a 1v1 sport, because you're the only person on your side of the table.
Sure, which as far as from the narrative standpoint, with Haikyuu it's all about teamwork, so it's about being able to work well with others and things like that. And then with this, that seems like it's more focused on Tsukimoto just being his best self.
Right, and I think that the robot is actually a slight trap. It's something that he can totally use, but it can't be the thing that is his purpose. He can't build his internal world around this idea. It only leads him towards a very specific angle of things. He misses out on the full picture. And maybe that's the unfortunate thing about the story, the disappointment, is that he's not going to be able to experience, emotion like everyone else. Maybe it's already, too late in a lot of ways. Or maybe that his character is one that, needs to, just embrace that side of him, and then, figure out some ways to temper it out with specific things.
And this episode, was very fast.
Yeah.
And a lot of things happened this episode. So, the way we're thinking about this show now after episode 2 is very different from how we were thinking about it after episode 1. there's only 11 episodes in this show, but I feel like they could keep changing it, so we could be seeing things in the next episode or the episode after that again
completely change the dynamic.
Turns it on a dime, and now we're like, oh, okay, now we see what this show's really about.
Right.
Like if there was some sort of crazy backstory for Tsukimoto, or something else, right? That we just haven't seen yet.
Yeah. Just overall, this episode was so good in terms
fantastic.
of giving a character study almost into Tsukimoto without really giving us all the answers, or without really giving us many answers. Like, we ended up understanding more of who he is without really knowing who he is, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah.
It's a weird kind of contradiction in that.
But it also kind of tells us a lot about him, because that's
Right.
basically saying that he
doesn't know who he is.
He doesn't know who he is. He's being the robot, right? Because maybe he
Maybe that's all he
he's scared
knows.
of the person he is, or or that's all he knows, or that's all anyone else ever seemed to see.
Sure.
So he just sort of like latches onto that, right?
Right. It's something solid. It's something familiar.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm excited for this show.
Wow.
Like, I know that of course I'll love the soundtrack because it's Kensuke Ushio, right?
Yeah.
But it had a lot of variation to it. Like, there was the part when I think Kong was playing it, it was like boom, 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 boom. It was like war drums and stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe that was the bald guy that came
That
to
was
scout him.
that was the second year that came,
Right.
who doesn't look like a high schooler,
Yeah.
and there was like a hula,
Yeah.
like kind of thing.
It's
going
like,
on
am
in
I
the
playing
background.
Conquerors, or like what's going on? And then
That's
the
Age of Empires for you that don't know.
yeah, way back.
Yeah.
And then like when Tsukimoto was playing against Mr. Koizumi, it was again something completely different. I almost can't even remember really what it was, because most of the stuff I was hearing was like the robotic type movements of that they used to symbolize that he's in his robot mode.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty dang sure there was a really good soundtrack that went along with that, but I just couldn't.
Now, this
pick
is
up
something
on
that I can't actually tell if it's a critique or a genius thing about this show.
Yeah.
Specifically with this episode. The first episode, I understood. I thought, at least.
Yeah.
This one has so much actually going on and being thrown at me that I don't understand it. And that gets me excited. Now,
Right.
I think that that's a risky move to make in an 11 episode kind of thing. It's kind of like Bacano, except Bacano is plot, this is character focused.
Right.
So Bacano has a thing where the first episode you're so confused as to what's going on plot wise that you're just like, what? But in this, they had actually the character, plot, and premise and all that basically set.
Yep.
And in the second episode they're like, and no, we're not making this just like your
Right.
typical sports anime kind of thing here.
Like,
we have all the the good stuff here, but we're going to be going deep into Tsukimoto.
Yep.
Really deep.
Really deep. And I expected to see
man.
I expected to see way more from Kong this episode.
Yep.
Almost non-existent. Like, they had that part with him at the beginning where he's like, where's the glasses guy, the glasses cutter, or whatever the term was. And the other guy comes up and he's like, no. Yeah, but then we even saw a lot more from Hoshino.
Yep.
Where he was being a lot more of just a
friend.
For Tsukimoto, which was really cool. He wasn't as much of the just stuck up cocky brat.
Yeah.
Even though there still was that of him just being like, oh well, I was beaten, so I'm worthless and blah blah blah, and I'm just gonna quit, and everything. But then there were a lot of times where he had some really good moments with Tsukimoto, and what?
Wait a minute. You know how we were like, wow, Hoshino is actually being kind of an okay person in this one here. What might actually be the thing is there's all these people that have been horrible to Tsukimoto, and Hoshino is just the least horrible.
Oh.
And he just kind of puts him around him because he's like, yeah, you don't demand anything of me because you don't demand anything of yourself.
Oh.
And this
I
is the
like
whole
it.
environment is stronger than willpower thing, is that it probably wasn't something that, was some traumatic event or anything like that. He's just put himself into an environment with people where he's getting dragged down to the lowest common denominator, and they also don't seem to really care too much about protecting or, you know, valuing Tsukimoto as a person.
Sure.
Much at all.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Yeah, and to Tsukimoto, someone like Koizumi comes in and it's like, I do care about you as a person. All he maybe hears, though, is all the, you're not enough, you're not doing enough.
Right. Yeah.
And he just equates it all to, now you're just like everyone else. And the thing is that Koizumi is not doing this perfectly, and I like that, in that he's kind of doing this specifically to get a reaction out of him so that he does something out of passion. The thing is that usually, if I was Tsukimoto, I will burn hot before I burn cold. So what that means is I would get angry, generally, at Koizumi here. And the thing is that he identified that. Koizumi was like, you're not angry. You're afraid. And then from fear, he shifted to burning cold and turned robot. And now we have this situation where Tsukimoto is like, get up. There's no bed down there.
Yeah.
If anything, he's taken as a weapon I love how they were showing the butterfly thing, because there's the whole idea of metamorphosis and transforming, but that's the finished transformation.
Right.
The whole idea of the robot, what if it's basically a thing of I used this to protect myself from all their stuff they threw in my direction. Now I use it as a weapon whenever I need to dish it back at them in the same manner, because everything that they threw at me stuck to the robot, and the robot became those things that they threw at me.
And I can crush you with it.
And I can crush you with it. I can take it back. There's something about what was it, like Fear the Quiet Man's Wrath or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah, it's something like that. But I think there's something even more disgusting, and it's actually something that I've noticed a lot of people as an introvert. I've had tendencies towards this as well. I think it's actually something that introverts we pride ourselves on. I don't think it's healthy at all. It's where you basically go, yeah, I can put up with a lot of stuff, but when you cross the line, I turn into
I can psychologically destroy
you. And they say it with such pride. I have said those kinds of things with such pride, and it's that means you don't know how to process your feelings. You don't know how to basically handle the stuff that gets thrown at you. And then you're also very reactionary. Then there's going to be some poor person that just ends up getting unloaded with all your stuff that you're unwilling to process.
Right.
So this seems like a version of that, but it's the cold, dead flame.
Right.
That.
Yeah. And it was interesting because on one level, I was cheering for Tsukimoto.
Yes.
You know, because it's like, you're dishing back, everything.
He's the underdog.
He's the underdog, and you're dishing back everything that the old man threw at you, right? Saying, just using his exact words, get up, there's no bed down there. Because Tsukimoto did not ask to be pushed.
That's true.
In fact, he was saying, no, stop it, I don't want you to.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But then at the same time, it's like, okay, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Whew. So, yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, and just the way Koizumi went about doing, there were the whole aspect of him just trying to get a response, right? And it's almost like those cold marketing callers, or people like if people are trying to like the stereotypical person that's trying to be like a credit card payment collector or something like that. And they're trying to get some response out of you because then that's something they can work with, right?
Sure.
If they get you to move in some direction, even if it's away from them, then they can try and steer you back around, right?
Salesman. Ugh.
Yeah. But with Mr. Koizumi, he did that. But there was also all the things of no, I'm making you lunch. And granted, it was, I'm going to,
Hey, I don't want you eating cholesterol and processed oil.
That's a bundle of cholesterol and
a bundle of diabetes.
And crude oil. Yeah. And the fact of, I want to make sure that you have the body of a ping pong player, a true table tennis player. And it's like, okay, he's got a personal motive, right? He's invested in your future.
And it's something that I'd say, any of us, we would kill to have mentors.
Right,
that would go after us that. But the thing is that when you're young, and you're in your own head,
Yeah.
and you can't get out, and you've got Tsukimoto's problems, which
Yep.
are very specific and very unique. Oh man, that's rough.
Well, and especially
That's
because
really
like
tough.
Tsukimoto, like, I mean, he's been having fun with ping pong, you know. So
Sure.
the idea of becoming really good at ping pong will probably end up being awesome for him. But you know, there's also the idea of like, you know, this real life is different from anime, right?
Sure.
You know, your life isn't necessarily a sports anime just because you know you're good at you know, you're pretty good at a sport, right? You don't necessarily want to dedicate your
that's
entire
true.
life towards
Yeah.
doing this one thing, right? You know, and if someone is
Yeah.
trying to push you and control you, you know, like and get you to do something and coerce you into doing it, even if that's something you would have potentially been up for,
Right.
it's a very natural response to say no, f
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Like I'm not, no, get out of here. I'm not doing what you want. So it's
And now plot wise, we're at a point where he beat
Yeah.
Koizumi. So
He
there's
doesn't
no
have to.
obligation or
Nope.
anything.
Nope.
So maybe Koizumi is going to step back and try the kind of the softer approach.
sure, or maybe he'll say that, you know, that thing you did, that's, you know, that's what I'm wanting to basically
Yeah, right there. That's what I
foster.
wanna hone.
Yeah, exactly. Because right now that's raw and it's just, you know, and it's just an outburst, right?
Sure.
You know, of what that was.
Yeah.
But imagine if you could have that be something that's not just a block of steel, but is, you know, a sword.
Yeah.
I know I'm going away from the armor metaphor for
Hey,
sword,
we
but,
could
you know,
draw a connection back to Your Lie in April, actually, since that was the show that, you know, we replaced with this. The whole idea of the human metronome
Yeah.
and all
Oh,
the
yeah.
words thrown at them and stuff, to where it's not a thing of the passion of the sport. It's in some ways the confidence of Tsukimoto and the belief in himself, and even the I would say his grip on reality a little bit, to where he's got this really depressing, nihilistic, just
yeah.
yeah, life is just passive existence until
I die. Like that. Oh.
He's what, 15, 16? I think
16,
they actually
yeah.
said that he was 16
They
on
showed
the
on
card
the
thing.
But yeah, that's
holy
yeah.
crap. Like that's not
Like-
okay. You can be 16 and have all the weird philosophies you want.
Right.
and
I mean,
stuff.
yeah, this is when you're
spec-
deciding who you're going to be for the rest of your life. So
Right.
there's going to be bad stuff, but also you don't want to stay there because that's where for
And
the rest of your life.
No, the point is that I wouldn't freak out if I saw a 16-year-old with some weird thoughts in
sure.
their head.
Yeah.
But this is something where we get to see his internal state. We get that. We get to cheat the
Right.
whole thing
Yeah.
of connection. We now get a real
First
just
person
really
look.
painful first person look, at who he is and what he's dealing with, and this
Yeah.
that bit that the whole this is whole meaningless. That was something he said in the presence of another person. The people that suck his energy and drain away his
Oh, yeah.
life energy and all that.
Uh-huh.
Imagine what he says to himself when no one's around.
Right, exactly.
Way worse
in
than
that,
that.
you know, when he's locked up in that mental locker.
And now this
yeah.
is something that, again, I mentioned in the previous episode's discussion, that
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't as emotionally invested in Tsukimoto, but I think that actually the point of this episode was to get us in some ways very emotionally invested in Tsukimoto, because we see someone that is dealing with an internal struggle, an internal conflict, and we see how they deal with it, and it's not healthy.
Right, how unemotionally invested Tsukimoto is in himself.
Yeah, and that for us, I think if you have
Cuts deep.
even if you don't have any compassion for him, that's okay. That doesn't mean you're a cold-hearted bastard or anything. But I think my empathy specifically reaches out for a character like Tsukimoto, because I'm like, bro, you need to feel something for yourself. Like, it's okay if you have struggles with feeling things. We've all been there. Like, we've all been there. Yeah. Like, but oh man, like that's something where I actually get worried a little bit about the potential of a not happy ending for the story. And you were saying disappointment, and I'm like, I don't like that term
That
specifically.
seems too weak for this
Well,
show.
it seems too sports focused, actually.
Sure.
It doesn't seem too
Yeah.
focused on his internal mental and emotional state.
Yeah.
So
I
I actually think this is going to be a very wholesome, like, happy ending
I
when
think
all
so
said
too.
and done.
Like, well, wholesome, yes. Happy ending.
it's going to be an emotional ending.
One of the most wholesome things can be seeing how people handle the bad. Like,
wait,
in,
that's
in
one of the most
storytelling.
wholesome things?
That's one of the most wholesome things in my mind that stories can do, is they can show basically, in some ways it's just showcasing the struggle, right?
Right.
And specifically the overcoming, even though it might be something that is a bittersweet ending, right?
Right.
Where even though they overcome the thing, or whatever, it's it's not easy. It can get ugly.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
I hope that whatever bit of Mr. Koizumi that was able to basically see this kind of stuff, because it's not just about the ping pong, right?
Oh yeah, definitely.
He probably saw something else there too.
Right.
I hope when I'm 72 or 73, I can have the confidence and the proficiency to be able to perceive that and shake the person awake if that is something that it is a good idea to try and do.
I think
sometimes it really isn't.
Well, that's, I think, the point about Koizumi. He can't know.
Yeah.
No, he's not an omniscient, omnipresent third-party observer looking in other people's heads and stuff. He has to go based upon what he sees. And I think he's a pretty observant fellow. That was one of the things we put into his character before he even knew he was a coach, actually. We're like, we put that he's very good at making observations. And I think that, everyone else being like, oh, that's love. I think that them joking about that actually points at the fact that the reason why he's doing this is empathy.
Sure.
It's something that he's doing in a cold, robotic way, actually. In some ways, maybe he realizes that something that needs to be done in order to actually shake him out of it.
He sees some of himself in...
But that's why I think that at some point, there's going to be that softer point. There's going to be that softer thing where the armor will be down and he'll be able to be like, okay, I'm touching the sensitive parts. I need to be very careful here.
I'm thinking like Good Will Hunting, where it's like,
Good Will Hunting.
all the rough like brawls that they basically had in that movie, and then coming right down to it with the it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
Oof.
Oh man, that movie just makes me have mental tear bending.
But
okay, guys. I think we've gone on for quite a good amount of time here.
I'm very excited to see what they do with this show, especially with only 11 episodes.
Yeah, I feel like, though, if we rewatch this episode immediately, we could go on for another 2 hours, because there's a lot of imagery and a lot of, I would say, very subtle things that they did that we can't fully gather in one viewing. So, I think the show also upgraded in my mind because of this episode. I think I simplified it a little bit, but the first episode...
And that's good for a first episode to be something that you can simply latch on to, We talked about Bacano, that's an example where it went the other way to a very extreme degree.
Right.
And that's probably the biggest shortcoming in a sense of that show. So the fact that they had the first episode be something that we can quickly just grok and be like, okay, cool, this is going to be a good sports show. And then they do this and they're like, but it's not.
You thought it was going to be a simple sports show.
I mean, it is a sports show, but that's not all it is. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much for watching the end of the video. If you want to watch the next episode's reaction right now, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get an early access there. You can watch full-length reactions there. And all this comes with Discord access, where you can chat with other people who talk about anime and stuff. You can chat with us about non-spoilery stuff, about shows we're reacting to, Ping Pong the animation, just characters, writing, whatever. And if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.